Hi, and welcome back to Sage Thyme. This is a safe space, a space where love is free to grow and growth from love is honored. Here we learn to listen more deeply, with compassion and with care, as our souls open more wholly and more fully to Divine's love and grace. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a part of this moment, this video, this message. You matter to me, you matter to the world, and especially you matter to your soul's design. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. I'm Lillian, and we have a beautiful message here today, hosted by the Fae. The Faery have shown up. They wanted to let me know right off the bat that they had some things to say. And as always, these things are being said in the proper fairy way, which is precisely what it ends up being. So, let's get with it then. I'll start by rolling the die. So if you're following your natal chart and you want to refer to what the dice point to in your natal chart and see how this message really lights up, house, sign, and there's a planet dice too. All right, so we've got the moon, the third house, and Cancer. Cancer being the constellation that houses the moon. Is it? No, it's not the first, second, it's the fourth traditionally. But so the moon, the third house, in Cancer. And then I'm going to show you the cards that bookended this entire reading, and then we'll kind of get to the juicy center of it all. So the first two cards that came out, I have this new deck. It's called the Ancient Stones Oracle. It's very beautiful. And in traditional Lillian way, I'm not entirely going to read things as I'm told to read them, because that's how we do. So we've got the Stone of Destiny and the Holy Mountain. And the Stone of Destiny talks about here life path, ambition, passion, and the yes word. And while I agree, yes, life path is in this card, given the Holy Mountain, soul calling, sacred journey, and pilgrimage coming out next to it, and simply my way of seeing things. I see things like passion and ambition as, in general, it may be different for each person, but generally those are programs and patterns that are imposed upon us by society, parents, environment, even our genetic coding. And so when I see this in the context of this reading and in the context of how I read, the Stone of Destiny really talks about more of our soul's contracts, what we assigned ourselves to do for the duration of our incarnation here. So yes, on life path, it's sacred, and the Holy Mountain confirms that. You know, this is everything about your journey, especially the parts where it was like, this isn't what I would choose. This isn't by my design. You know what I'm saying? Those painful relationships, the confusing family dynamics, sorry, my cat Jupiter's on the deck outside the window staring at me while I'm doing this reading. Jupiter, yeah, see what Jupiter's up to in your chart too. Jupiter's in Cancer still. Side note. All right, so yeah, the Stone of Destiny. It's carved in stone. It's a contract that isn't going to be broken even by the most talented contract breaker. This is something that your soul pre-incarnation knew that you would potentially get all kerfuffled about, because especially if it was a situation, and pretty much all of us have this, hopefully, where we have circumstances that are just so dire and confusing or upsetting and just maddening. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? I don't need to go into all that. You've been through it. I know you've been through it. And there have been so many times where, whether you paid somebody or you looked up a way to break contracts, it just didn't sink. It didn't take it away. And there's reasons for it, not only just because it was etched in stone, metaphorically speaking, in soul contract, but because you as a soul, you knew it was going to be that hard. You knew that this life was going to have points and times, potentially years and decades, where it was going to be that hard, with little, tiny little hills of, oh, I can breathe, and relief. And this has been sacred. This has been your holy mountain. This has been your pilgrimage. And look at you here. You're standing before, you're not at the top of the mountain. You're on one of those little moguls of, oh, I can breathe, and arms stretched out and open wide. The solar plexus of your being connecting with the soul, your soul connecting with the soul of the mountain, that something that's greater than you. Soul to soul. Call it higher self, God, the universe, all the above. What you've been going through, especially the parts that have just felt so the most not awesome, those have been the most sacred, right? And yeah, I can say this, and that's nice to say. But when you breathe it in and you let it feel within you the truth of that, you know that it's true. Even with those programs and patterns of ambitions and patterns, I feel like those words are really great as an antithesis, really. And maybe that is part of destiny, is having those passions and ambitions embedded and embossed upon us, so that we are spinning the hamster wheel, so to speak, trying to get at something and be something that we were never meant to be. And that's the contrast. And so, as not awesome as it feels, it is exactly what we need, so that when we do open up in that holy mountain stance, soul to soul, we feel the real truth of what truth, capital T, truth is for us. So on the other end of the bookend of this reading, I pulled some dragon cards. And I love my dragons. And of course, going for one card, I got three. We've got the Gaia card, the healer, and the spirit. All three, I'm going to hold them up together because they wanted to be seen like this. And this is what we're talking about when it comes to your journey, not strictly speaking a destination, although the destination would be the culmination of these things. And I'm feeling into right now whether it would be a continuation for you beyond that. But what I'm speaking of here is being that healer of Gaia and spirit, and not just the spirit of Gaia. Gaia, in reference with these cards, being the consciousness of Gaia, the natural world. And this is coming in really important. It's coming in very significantly with the Fae coming through. The fairy people, the Fae, are what I heard today, Gaia's, the consciousness of the Earth Amma, or often referred to as Gaia. The Fae people were of her first intelligent incarnation, sentient incarnation. They were a projection, so to speak, of the flora and fauna and the landscape, of the stone and the plant and the animals, came the Fae. In a sense, the consciousness that the Earth Amma herself put into the flora and fauna and landscape, those things then created a sentient life form that was a projection of who they were. And that's where we get the fairy people. And of course, the Fae are a diverse form of different types of people. There's countless, really. I'm sure they're saying, well, you could count, but then we would change the number right after that. And so I feel like these cards, these dragon cards here, are talking about healing that relationship between the earth consciousness and, I want to say, the spirit of the upper realms. Let me get to this properly. So what was coming forward for me with this story, with this message that is for you, and so it's very pertinent to you, is how there has been this separation between the consciousness and the animation of the earth consciousness, the natural consciousness, which we see, of course, in the cycles of winter, spring, summer, fall, and everything else. We can see cycles within cycles of the animals and the plants, and even mountains and stones in the river. There has been this great separation and between the plant world and Fae world that represent the plant, flora and fauna, and animal world, and the human world, and from the human realm, what was created as the spiritual realm. When, of course, it's not truly separated, but the humans, and with their consciousness and the egregore that developed from that, severed a connection by saying it didn't exist between the Fae and the spirit. As if humans had the sole right to the higher realms, the spiritual realms. And I can feel the hurt and the ache from the Fae and the wounds that it caused. And many of you, I can tell, are the type of people that see a massive land clearing of trees from lumbering and feel the screams and the aches of that. Whatever your clairs are, you feel it, you sense that loss and that mourning. Animals, no doubt, we're connected to them more and more as we are developing our relationship with animals, and they're returning their higher consciousness to themselves via us connecting consciously and with heart to our pets and animals in general. Well, this is also, of course, happening with plants and the plant world, and then by association, the Fae. And this came through with my meditations with the goddess, the triple goddess Danu, the last week or so, and her connection with the Tuathà De Danann, the Fae folk, which history speaks about it in terms of Ireland. And there were wars and battles, and long story short, the Tuathà De Danann, who were a magical people, they were called fairy folk at the time, but legends and so forth. This has changed so much over the years. Hi, Jupiter kitty. She's come. She's here. And her motor's running. So when the Tuatha, you want to come up here? Lost the final battle in what is referred to now as Middle Earth. Not entirely accurate, but when that battle was lost, the agreement was they would be sent to a realm underneath the surface of the earth, an other world, an other realm. And so began the separation, the exiling, not only of the fairy but of the awareness and right of the consciousness of the plant and animal and other life that is connected with the greater spirit. And we're bringing that back, right? So many of us here really feel that. And they wanted me to express a bit of this story to really give context to your journey specifically, because they say it's not all about them. And they want you to know, they feel very strong feelings coming through in this reading, and I'm probably gonna break out in tears a few times. They want you to know how grateful they are for what you've gone through and the deep dives that you have done and worked with to, sorry, I don't want her to knock over the camera. And that is a kitty's prerogative, is to disrupt the order of things. They want you to know how grateful they are. They know that you had to delve into depths of the underworld in order to access the ancestry of them and help bring them up and out and forward back into the common realm, which is what we're doing. I just have this feeling she's gonna, that's all right. If she knocks it a little bit, you guys know it's coming. Okay. Yep. That is a kitty's prerogative. And, you know, I'm thinking now, too, with the die showing, you know, Cancer and the moon, the third house being our neighbors and our siblings. I mean, Cancer, the mother, right? And the mother archetype. And, of course, we consider Gaia, the earth consciousness, Earth Amma, the biggest mother of our home world, the grandest mother. And beyond that, of course, being the oversoul, Mother Goddess and Father God, not to get too much into that. But that is the envelopment of why they want to bring up this reading and why these cards have come up the way they do. And I'm really only hearing that and feeling that as I'm speaking this to you. And so I'm incredibly grateful to be gifted the honor of delivering this message to you. And there's a sneeze that tickled my nose but did not come out. Quickly, before I draw, or before I start reading the Fae cards from them specifically, let's do a portal card. And this comes from the Forest of Enchantment Oracle deck, which is different than Forest of Enchantment Tarot. It's a newer deck, same creators, and these cards are wonderful in general as portal cards, overall reading cards. We'll see if they want to play. And in honor of, there it is, in honor of the Faery, the Fae being the underlying premise of this message. This is perfect. So we've got the Swan's Sister and the Lonely Gnome. All right, I'll show you these two, and hopefully we'll get into them a bit more at the end. Well, we will, unless I get distracted. But really, honestly, I feel like this is just it. This is what we're talking about. And these are the portal views into our conversation. Hear this lonely gnome, so sad. And I mean, he's alone, right? And then now we have this Swan Sister who's up in a tree, and beneath her is the grace and the elegance of the swan pairing, which is traditionally known as a mating for life. And she's creating something magical in this tree, or she's creating something practical, but she's creating it with magic. And it's strewn about the limbs of this tree. So these are the portal cards with which you can spend time with to see how it fits with this with you. So the first card from the Brian Froud deck here is one of my most favorite. I should not play favorites of the Fae, forgive me. This is Ilby the Retriever. And he holds the office. He holds office. He likes to be official. Look at him. He's so sweet. He holds office of unclaimed things like property and hopes and wishes. He's incredibly loyal. Look at his sweet, loving face. He protects and he safeguards those lost hopes and those forgotten dreams, as well as the practical necessities, like things like losing our keys, right? And he is often the one who is responsible for us losing our keys. And it almost seems like he's not responsible, but he knows when we are supposed to lose things, hopes, dreams, keys, and other practical things, cars, degrees, separation from family, those kinds of things. And so he's not a meddler. He has an assignment and that's his, but he's incredibly loyal to the one that he retrieves from. And so he holds them until they're ready to be returned. And that's what he's doing here, holding that hope, that dream to his throat and his heart area. He says, I've got it here for you. And he brings in he arranges those reminders of things like our hopes and dreams through people showing up in our life. Maybe people we know, but often it's that random stranger who just says something that's so, when they say it, it means one thing, but we hear it and it ignites and awakens oh, that was a dream of mine. I did want to be that and do that and experience that. And so he's coming out front and center saying, I'm back and I'm here and it's time. I did these things at the beginning, and one of them was friendships, those kind of communications here. Of course, we have them in reverse. But there's more to it than that. It has to do with that community and connection. And that may or may not be as much with the human realm. I feel like that's more tertiary to your connection. Perhaps your connection is really more with the flora and fauna, the natural world of the earth. And through that, you're able to make the kind of connections with the humans, the human realm, us humans, and be that bridge. I feel like something more wants to be said. They're like, don't move on yet. Well, it'll come up when it's ready to. So after that, Epone's wild daughter came up in reverse. Now, I want to kind of be careful with these cards. There's nothing inappropriate being shown, but sometimes YouTube does not appreciate the art of Brian Froud. I want to read this card. It being in reverse doesn't mean that it's the opposite, especially for this specific card. What it means is the description that you're about to hear me read, and this one really wanted to be read to you. It just takes longer, okay? Epone's wild daughter. In the bleakest part of the night, Dorcha, that's Epone's wild daughter, comes wearing her crown of fairy stars. She kneels on the ancient owl, bearing the hidden wisdom of the night and facing into the path with a clear, unflinching gaze. She holds us. We are held immobile, inwardly focused by her comforting yet implacable, light-filled hands. She asks riddles that often seem impossible to answer at first, and yet she will not let us go until we find the solutions within ourselves. She is one of the great teachers of Faery, but her methods of teaching make Socrates' questions look like child's play. We must expect this of Dorcha because her lessons are about the shadow side of ourselves, the things we fear, our insecurities, self-doubts, and even denials. She is a practitioner of tough love therapy. Dorcha is the wild daughter of Epona, lady of the horse and the moon. And she takes us through the dark, hidden side of ourselves and into healing and fulfillment. From the temporary madness of rage or great stress to the deeper and longer psychoses, she drives us through this journey, through our internal hells. When we complete this journey, we are transfigured and transformed, transcending our old selves. We can never be frightened by that darkness again, whether our own or that of others. But until that journey is complete, we exist in a state of vulnerability, which is where most of us are, most of the time. Notice, please, that it is she and not her more gentle sister, Laced, who wears the crown of stars, a mark of service, compassion, and great wisdom. Dorcha's element is moonlight, the fifth element, which tempers and tests the spirit. Through her teaching, our inner conflicts and struggles become, as they are resolved, our greatest strengths. And doesn't that sum up so much of what we're talking about here? We're here for a purpose and we're here for a reason. And those oftentimes, and I think part of it really, that the thing that the Fae, I find, as well as the higher council, really want humans to come to a place of understanding is something that it just hasn't really hit the purview of many people yet, because we're still claiming shadow of ourselves as strictly our own, and that was for a good reason. But it's really important to also recognize that these shadow parts within us are also not our own. These are the things that we've inherited. These are the things that were cast upon us. These are the things, and this is not playing victim at all. This is owning it. This is claiming our power back by saying, yeah, what's inside me, I can tell what belongs to me and what doesn't, what belongs to my soul or my human self and what was imposed or incepted within me. I can tell those distinctions, and I can take responsibility for all of it, because if it's in me and it's with me and I can't shake it, then it is mine to deal with. And that is part of that soul contract. These are the big heavy hitter players in this world, people like you who have incarnated as a soul into a human being to take on the massive, deep, heavy layers of what has these programs, patterns, limiting thought forms, and that's me saying general terms lightly for things that are really big. And Epona's wild daughter, Dorcha, she is the one who, with compassion, looks you straight in the eye and says, you don't get out until you're done doing the work that you agreed to do. I love you, and suck it up. And ouch. And her being in reverse is really telling me that you have been one of the beautiful souls that has done this for the long haul. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for enduring. And thank you for endearing your heart, your love for yourself, because you would deserve it. More than the stars can sing aloud to the cosmos. You are one of those, and I know that. So next, we have such a more maternal energy. The Fae were really sassy when I was doing the pulling the cards, and they were telling me what they wanted me to really hear from each card. They were so sassy. And then I had to go lay down and have a big old download. And I kept trying to kind of be back in their energies we were talking about. And what's come in is just that, it's that incredible Amma, earth consciousness. Her love is here for you, thanking you for being that healing bridge, the hierophant between realms that were forgotten on her body of her soul, bridging that with the upper greater cosmic realms. So next Doctor is the master maker. I love this guy. He's such a character. So he's the craftsman. He's got skill. He's the magician. Moral strength. He you know what? He sings to shape things. And he's such a goofy little fellow. And here he stands upon this stoic feminine. And I feel like at first I thought, oh, is that maybe a maternal? No, he says, this is my wife. I'm not sure what that is all about, but I really love it. And he is that master of the forge upon which we create our future, and we forge our souls, right? That's why you're here. You've been forging your souls with fire and water upon steel. Really, that's the refinement and the forging. And he's able to actually see into the world of first cause, that cosmic spirit realm that I was talking about. So he can tap into that and bridge it and pull it in. And that's what we've been talking about. Okay, it's all coming in now for me. So he bridges in those higher source codes into our realm, the human realm, and into our souls. And it sounds like he works with Epona's wild daughter, with Dorcha, because we've got to be still and we've got to make space for what he's forging and bringing in with those codes. And in order to do that, we've got to clear out the muck and the yuck from those microcosmic areas within our being. And he brings those codes into us, into our vessel, our vehicle, our cleansed and cleared, both psychologically, emotionally, energetically, and physically. So what we're consuming physically and auditory and visually and everything. He cleanses and clears, or he brings the codes into those cleaned and cleared areas that Epona really makes us do the work. She doesn't do it for us. She's not here to like hold our hand. She's here to say, get to it. Don't mess around. And so now here the master maker brings that in, and he brings it in with song. And by song, I mean attunement, frequencies and harmonies and resonances that are song, but they're specific. They have mathematical algorithm or equation. They have mathematical sequence to them that is properly facilitating it to enter us through our visions, through our dreams. But we have to be able to receive. We have to be able to receive and perceive through our dreams. And so in truth, he's not bridging them into any specific people. He's bridging them into our realm. And that's where you see artists, musicians, writers, painters, sculptors, cooks, mothers, fathers in play with their children, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, true ones that are really about it for the people and the whole of the world as a whole. He's the one that brings it down into this realm, and they're the ones who grab it and use it for the higher level codes. Definitely are only able to be received by those who have that cleansed and cleared energetic and physical space. And that's the master maker. And that's what's coming in for you now more and more. I'm feeling it's been coming in, but in bits and pieces. And here comes the final, perhaps the final, maybe one of a continual series of deaths. And we rejoice when we see the death card, do we not? Because she's not here to torture us. She's here to walk us from the old into the new. She's here to take our hand when we are ready to let go, and when we have let go. She's ready to take our hand. Like here in the northern hemisphere, we're in the fall. And at the end of October, we have, the veil being traditionally the thinnest, from All Hallows Eve to Dia de los Muertos to, there's so many traditions around the world that I can't remember the names of right now, but you know what I mean. Death is the one who makes sure that our worlds are not filled with rot and decay and gnats and just bog. We're not bogged down by the old. And so she brings us through the canal, through the birth canal, and then we find our way out on the other side. And check this out. This is the card that came out then, kind of last. There's one more, but it's more of just a ta-da summation. This is, what's her name? Spirit Dancer. Boom. Look at that. And she is all about self-expression. She's like a wind sprite. She flies with the wind. She twirls and swirls. She knows that it's about surrender and allowing. But also, if she hits a rock, she doesn't sweat it. She knows how to reshape herself upon an impact and just move on right by. So this is about that freedom of exploration. This is the gift that is of true creative expression. That's what she represents. It's a gift from the soul of who you are. Spirit Dancer. And then, of course, beautifully, one of the singer celestial designs, She of the Cruach. And this is a birth canal moment. So we've been on this journey. We've gone through many of these layers of what I've spoken about today, and the deaths and the rebirths. But something tells me with this coming out, all those other cards I just shared with you from the Brian Froud fairies, they all came out together at once and in that order. And they wanted very specifically to not be layered or arranged. They wanted to be in a horizontal line. And this one came out just a little bit separate and would not go with the line. She was below it all. And so there is this idea of that whole line of cards coming now together to be birthed through the Cruach, through She of the Cruach. That bridge that you are, now in full liberation and freedom of creative expression, however that may be for you. And I wonder now, coming back to these two portal cards, the Lonely Gnome and the Swan's Sister. It's almost like a this is what was. Well, it isn't almost, it is. This is what was, and this is what will be. And this is what is now. And there she sits on her beautiful, old, ancient wisdom oak tree covered in moss. And she weaves from a basket full of magical yarn that she has not just gathered or bought at the market, yarn that she created from mere materials in her environment. She raised the sheep or the alpaca, so to speak. You know, she dealt with their sicknesses and their needs and the nasty groomings that they might need or care. And she dealt with, she didn't deal, she enjoyed the joys as well. But all the care and all the compassion that she put into all the parts of creating and cultivating these threads of yarn, that care and that compassion, even when it didn't feel like it was there, even when grace didn't feel like it was present, she still was there. You still were there. You still are here, and you've been here through it all. Even those times where you were sure, in retrospect, you checked out, you gave up, you said, you know, screw you, universe, higher self, God, whatever. This is just garbage truck business. Even in all of that, you were still there with care and compassion. Even if it didn't feel like it, you were. It was around you and enveloping you. That care, that support, that love. Those that cared and supported and loved you, that shared in your soul's desire and design and contract to come here and be of a healing and contributing and uniting force to an entire planetary peoples that were exiled from this more interactive, creative realm, from a realm that is able to truly access those upper source codes, that Akashic wisdom, the pathway to evolution as a soul. The fairy people were denied that in so many ways, and they're telling me that there have been benefits to that. They have grown in other ways, but their souls ache and yearn, their soul sparks ache and yearn for a more straight line, fluid connection to the cosmos. And you have been a huge part of bridging that. And it was not light work. It was not gentle and easy. And yet you have been loved because you designed it that way. Because you as a soul love yourself so much. You designed it that way. Even and especially when you couldn't feel it, see it, hear it, and know it. It was there. You were there for you. And all those who saw what you were going through and doing that you couldn't see, but they saw you. They were surrounding you. It might have felt like torture. It did at times, I'm sure. But you did it. You did it. And you're birthing through. And you are now the spirit dancer, the creator of magic, because everything you touch turns to gold. And not in that superfluous human sort of way. We're talking about imbuing everything you touch with a magic that is of your essence. And it includes that compassion and care that had to become so strong in the face of working with energies and programs and lost and forgotten souls that had become distorted in their energy and just twisted. And you were there for them, maybe thinking they were a part of you, maybe they were, but you were there for them. And you faced them all straight in the eye and said, what do you need? I'm here. I love you. Just like the great mother consciousness of this planet. When you're in need and you're maybe throwing a fit internally or externally, she's there. Her presence is there. Epona's wild daughter, Dorches, she's there as a representative for the earth consciousness, I'm here, I'm listening, what do you need? And then, so here we go, and the layers echo and move forward and on. And it's phenomenal. It's so phenomenal. It could almost seem like it was this idea, this story that I'm story speaking. It could almost seem fantastical, but you feel the truth of it, don't you? You can hear it within your bones, within the etchings of your soul. You know it. You're still here. You know it. So I want to thank you. And the Fae want to thank you over and over again. They said, but don't get too full of yourself, I'm hearing. Don't, I don't know. I just lost it. All right. One nice little swift and sweet message to send you on your way home from another new deck, the Mystic Manifesting Oracle. I hadn't gotten new decks in a while, and I am pretty extremely picky, as I'm sure most readers are. Woo! Okay. Too many cards, guys. All right, you've got 3, but I'll read 1. Spiritual Strength, Mystical Circle, and Divine Protection. Oh, apparently I'm reading all 3. All right. Mystical Circle. Connect with ancestral wisdom and have patience on the journey. I am grounded on my path. Spiritual Strength. Let Spirit guide you through any challenges along the way. I conquer obstacles. And Divine Protection. Your angels and spirit guides are on call to assist you as always. The universe has my back. And remember, with the angels and celestials, the ascended masters, the star beings, etc., they are here for you to help you, but you must always call for them and be specific. And if you don't have a specific, but you know you need help, simply being in your heart, calling out for benevolent ... I need your help getting through this, that sort of thing. Or may I feel your presence comforting me, letting me know I'm not alone, in care and love, that kind of thing. So that was a big reading. I like big readings. I hope you do too. These are moments for us to hear ourselves and to know ourselves and to heal. You know that. And so you are most welcome here and truly loved and appreciated. May this message bring you forward and forth in some of the most beautiful, wondrous, and delightful ways. Say the Fae too. Blessings to you. Oh.